So Jeff isn't here, huh? But I bet he put that on.
Good evening. Welcome to the planning board meeting for Wednesday, July 15th. Before we begin, I need to read a spiel on COVID-19, so bear with me. The Plaistow Planning Board, due to COVID-19 coronavirus crisis and in accordance with Governor Sununu's Emergency Order Number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, is authorized to meet electronically, and these reasons shall be reflected in these minutes. Notice of this electronic meeting was sent to all abutters and published in the Eagle Tribune newspaper. The Plaistow Planning Board is utilizing the GoTo webinar program of the GoTo meeting platform for this electronic meeting. All members of the board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during the meeting through the GoTo webinar program. I should say all members of the board are actually here in Town Hall. So there's no members of the board that are participating away from Town Hall. And the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in the meeting. The link to access this meeting was provided on the town's website with the notice where to email with, it is strongly suggested you test the link in advance of the meeting, a little bit late for that. Please report any issues, though, that you may have trying to get into dvoss@plaistow.com. There is a raise your hand feature of the program that will allow attendees to participate in the discussion. There is also a Q&A box for those doing remotely to type questions during the meeting. The public can also send emails with questions or concerns prior to and during the meeting to dvoss@plaistow.com. I'm not sure how that's going to work since Dee's not here, but what is your email, John? jcashel@plaistow.com. Send the email questions there. Please note all questions and concerns typed into the Q&A box or sent via email will be read aloud and become part of the public record. Everyone will be heard. The meeting will also be live on PlaistowAccess cable, channel 17, and will be live streaming on the town's website. So that's my little spiel there, so you know what's going on. As I said, all the board members are here, including the alternate selectmen. So we'll take a roll call now. We need to do that. Maybe, John, you can just read off the names. And when you answer the roll call, we'll be taking a roll call for the board first, and then we'll be asking the members of the public to say, or people that are remote, to say whether they're by themselves. So if you could just say that you're alone, that would be great. John?
Okay, roll call. Tim Moore.
Here.
Francine
Art.
Here?
Karen Robson.
Here.
Laurie Millette.
Here.
Jim Peck.
Here.
Greg Kell. Also here, John Cashel, Planning Director. And just for the record, Jeff Adams is absent this evening.
Did you get Mark?
Whoop, excuse me, and Mark Pearson, Town Manager, is here.
And why don't you take a roll of the people that are remote? Do you have the names?
Gene Forbes.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Mr. Hanley. Whoop, can't hear you.
I don't think he can hear you.
Can he turn his mic on?
No, I turned it on. I am here and by myself.
And by yourself. Gene, you're by yourself also?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And let's see.
Malinowski.
Mike, I think it's Mike.
Mike.
There he is.
Yeah, it's Michael. Yes, I'm here and alone.
Okay. And that would be it at the present time.
Is that it?
Yeah.
I had a Richard Green, not there.
Yep, let me see. I'll drag
He,
him up.
he may come in later. He's the last one there. It's Grouse Wing. think his name is Richard Green. He's not here yet. Okay. All right, that takes care of that. The next item on the agenda is review and approval of the last minutes, which are June 17th. I know I've read them. I'm comfortable with them, but I want to make sure everybody else has had a chance to read them. And if you have, someone can make a motion to approve them. Karen?
I'd like to make one comment on there that.
Okay. Speaking to the microphone.
And I found it very disrespectful to me. There were some comments made. I would like it to go on the record. For being a first-time, new board member, first meeting, and I know there was great discussion on whether I should vote or not vote, and that was not the problem, but the problem was what comments had followed before by Mr. Castle. So I would like to repeat it and have it stand and recorded. Why would you allow a new board member to inject her nefarious opinions, or maybe she has some predisposition for wanting to participate in the deliberation process? I found that very disrespectful, and I'm sorry, but I think it should be recorded. Thank you.
So are you asking to amend the minutes to put that
Yes.
phrase
please.
in there? Okay.
Should we motion and second before we discuss to amend? Usually motion goes on the floor, then we second it, and then there's a discussion where Mrs. Robinson would amend the minutes?
Yeah, we can do that. We can make the original motion to approve the minutes, then you can.
Amend them then,
Yeah, you
right?
can motion
Yeah.
to amend?
Yeah,
Is that how you do it?
I think so,
Okay.
yeah,
Well, you're
that's
the
how we
expert.
do it.
Okay, well, I take a motion to approve the minutes then.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay,
Okay,
Lori
and
makes the motion.
I'll second it,
Second by Francine.
yeah, and then
Okay, in
we ask to
discussion,
amend the discussion,
Karen is
right?
suggesting that we add that phrase into the
Right.
minutes?
Yes,
Okay. Any discussion on that?
Could you specify where you'd like to have it put, like what page, or, I mean, does it go into a
No, it was on-
particular
it was
place?
following the discussion, I think it was like page 6.
Okay.
I can find that page. No, actually, it was page 8.
Page 8?
Put in page 8.
And is it after what paragraph? Why don't you just say?
Well, it was, okay, I guess it should be before I had asked, Mr. Adams had he been at all meetings on this matter? It was the
Okay.
whole discussion of the whole
So before
thing.
that?
So just before
Okay.
that.
Okay,
Just to make sure everybody understands what you're suggesting.
yeah,
Any further discussion on that?
no?
No.
Is that, are you making a motion to amend? Is that,
So,
Okay, so you
yes,
should make
motion
that
to amend the
motion.
minutes,
okay, do we have a second on that motion?
I'll second.
Second by Lori.
Yeah.
Any further discussion on that motion, on the amendment? All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No? Abstentions? Okay, the amended motion passes 5-0-0. We still have to vote
We have
on the
to-
motion?
We have to review it next
Right.
meeting, we would have to look at the amended.
But the overall, the amended, we don't have to vote again on the
No,
minutes,
no,
okay?
no.
I'll get it straight.
You will, I know, you're
Okay,
doing good.
cool. We made it through that, thank you. All right, we'll move on to the public hearings. We have 3 public hearings tonight. The first public hearing is one from the town of Plaistow. And let me read the notice so everybody can hear it. The notice is PB 20-05. The completeness of an application from the town of Plaistow, Office of the Board of Selectmen. The plan proposes to subdivide off a portion of land that would result in a 20,000 square foot parcel with 200 feet frontage on East Road, which would be used for municipal purposes. The remaining parcel would be plus or minus 9.5 acres with plus or minus 283.25 feet of frontage on Sunrise Terrace. The parcel is located at 24 Sunrise Terrace, tax map 14, lot 13 in the LDR district. The property owner of record is Neil C. Kelly. If the application is found to be complete, the board may immediately conduct the public hearing. So we have in our packets here a recommendation from the staff that the application is complete. So unless there's any discussion on that, I'll entertain a motion that application is complete before we open the public hearing.
I'll make the motion. Move to accept the application as complete that proposes subdivision of the plus or minus 9.5 acre parcel at 24 Sunrise Terrace, tax map 14, lot 13, to create a 20,000 square foot parcel with 200 feet of frontage on East Road for the purpose of locating a pump house related to the Plaistow Municipal Potable Water System.
Thank you. Second from Karen. Any discussion on the motion that it's complete? There being none, I call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
500. All opposed, no. Abstentions? No abstentions. 500. I knew it was 500. Okay, so now I will publicly open the hearing. So the hearing is open, and what we'd like to do is hear from the applicant. I know Mark's here, and I think there's some other people. John?
Mr. Chairman, do you want a roll call vote on that?
Roll call of what?
A roll call vote.
Yes, we do need all roll call votes as we go through because we're remote. So we will be calling for all roll call votes throughout the evening.
Even though we're present in the room?
No, if all board members are present, you don't need roll call, and all board members are present, so
Oh, you don't?
you don't need a roll call.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Okay, there you go.
All right.
So no roll call vote since we have all members present, which is unique, I guess, these days. Okay, so the applicant will speak first, and then the board will ask questions. And then if there's any, once the board has asked questions and we feel comfortable, then we'll move on to the public. So you've heard the public hearing, what it's about. Basically, what we're supposed to do is, as a planning board, is based upon the law, which is, I had the number here.
It's
67454. That law allows the town to proceed with a municipal project without having a voted approval from the planning board. However, the town has decided, in the Board of Selectmen, as it says here in our staff report, they strongly believe that the planning board should see and have the ability to comment on any proposed site plan when there is town property involved. The public hearing also provides another opportunity for residents, especially about those who have specific impacts of the project, for them to obtain information. So I applaud the town, I applaud the town manager for coming before the planning board. It's not necessary, but it's something we did with the water tower and we're doing with this project, and I think it's a great thing for the town to do, and we applaud the fact that they're doing that. So without any further ado, I'll turn it over to, I'm not sure who will be making presentation, you, Mark, or?
Well, no, since I'm the applicant, Mr. Chairman, I would defer to both Gene Forbes and Jim Hanley to
Okay.
explain the specifics of the application.
Okay, thank you, Mark. So we'll turn it over to Mr. Forbes and Mr. Hanley. Who's going to speak first?
Yeah, so Jim Hanley, Civil Design Consultants, and I'm here to present this application. Charlie Zilch initially filed it with S.E. Cummins and Associates, and unfortunately can't make it tonight. He's on vacation. So just to kind of walk through the application itself, to get everybody kind of oriented where we are, we're basically at the town line that's shared with Atkinson. The lot itself is approximately 10 acres in area, and it's zoned low-density residential. So it's a big lot. It's got 483 feet of frontage on East Street, which is where the new lot will be fronted, and there's 284 feet of frontage on Sunrise Terrace. So there is an existing single-family residence with well and septic on this existing 10-acre lot. And as you can see on the site plans, a large portion of the lot currently is wetlands. So what we need to do is we need to carve out a lot area to allow for the town of Plaistow to provide a water booster station for the water system. And so if you were to look at, I guess it would be the best one to show it would be sheet 3 of 3. You get a sense for where the lot is relative to East Road and relative to the Atkinson Town line, which is essentially Bryant Brook right there. So in essence, what we're doing is we're carving off a 2,000 square foot lot with 200 feet of frontage on East Street. This will allow for the water booster station. And this public hearing in particular is really only for the proposed subdivision. I think the next step in the next public hearing is to talk about the booster pump station in a little bit more detail. But step 1 here is really limited to the subdivision itself. So it's very straightforward, 10-acre parent parcel with a single-family house on it that's accessed off the Sunrise Terrace. We're going to carve out 200 feet of frontage and 20,000 square feet along East Road for the potential future home of the booster station. So very straightforward. With that being said, if you have questions, I will do my best to try to answer for you tonight.
Okay, thank you. As you pointed out, there's actually 2 public hearings. The one I read was the subdivision of the land, and the second one is the actual pump house. So what we're talking about right now is the subdivision. That we're subdividing the land into a 20,000 square foot piece, and the rest of it is plus or minus 9.5 acres. So the entire lot is what, close to 10 acres. So that's all we're talking about now is subdividing the land. And we're going to want to ask questions about the pump house, details about the pump house later. But if there's any questions now on this particular one, I suppose we could, ask questions about this and then vote on this one and then move on to the second one. I don't personally, just my 2 cents, I don't personally have any problems with the subdivision. I have a few questions on the pump house, which I'm going to ask when we get there. That's what we would be concerned with. The only question I have on the subdivision is to make sure I understand exactly where it is, because we have the diagram of the pump house. And as I read through it, I just wanted to be clear how far from the last house, which I believe is number 39 East Road. I may have the number wrong. How far from the last house is the land that's going to be carved out? I think it was 117 feet. Is that correct, or did I get that wrong?
Yeah. So from the last lot, not the last house. So there's probably another 15 feet there to the actual house itself. But there's 117 feet of frontage in between the last lot along East Road to where the start of this new lot would start.
So it's from the lot line, it's 150 feet, did you say?
117. Yeah.
117 to the edge of the 20,000 square foot parcel. And of course, the parcel is 100 by 200? 200,
yeah.
So
Correct.
it's 100 by 200. So it goes in 100 and it's 200 feet on the road. Just so everybody knows. And the other question I had is how far from the line is it? It can't be that far, but how many feet is it from the line?
So that would be the next one up. So plus or minus 167 feet.
Town line?
From the
Atkinson
Atkinson line, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so from the Atkinson line to the far end of the parcel is plus or minus 67 feet. Right, that's the plan that you have on the screen there.
And the only other question I had was, once that's carved out, obviously the town would buy that piece. The remaining piece would stay with that landowner. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. That's all the questions I have, but I just want to turn it over to any other members who have questions on the subdivision. I see shaking of heads.
I don't.
It's pretty
No.
clear cut.
Okay, if there's no more questions, I'll take a motion to approve this, or to, we have a suggested motion in here? I think we do.
I'll move to approve the plan that proposes to create a 20,000 square foot lot with 200 feet frontage on East Road by subdivision of the plus or minus 9.5 acre parcel at 24 Sunrise Terrace, tax map 14, lot 13, to create a 20,000 square foot parcel with 200 feet of frontage on East Road for the purpose of locating a pump house related to the Plaistow Municipal Potable Water System.
Okay, motion by Francine, any second?
I'll second.
Second by Tim. Any further discussion? There being none, I call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes 5-0-0. Thank you. Okay, so we move on
Great,
to the
thank you very
next.
much for your time.
I'm sorry?
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, okay. All right.
You're welcome.
Thank you. My hearing's not too good. The second hearing is PB 20-06, and I'll read it. It's to review and comment on a municipal site plan for the town of Plaistow. Mark A. Pearson, town manager. The plan proposes to locate a 26-foot by 28-foot, 728 square feet municipal potable water pump house and related infrastructure on a new lot created by the subdivision of 24 Sunrise Terrace, tax map 14, lot 13 in the LDR district. That, we just covered that, obviously, so it's pretty obvious. Once the lot is created, the town of Plaistow will be the property owner of record. So now we're talking about the pump house, and we do have a diagram, so go ahead and if you could explain to us what's going on. Mr.
Yes,
Hanley,
first of all,
or-
thank you for the opportunity to talk with you tonight. This is a very important project for the town of Plaistow, and this pump station is a key component of this project. We're bringing water originally from sources up in Manchester through Londonderry, Derry, Windham, Salem, Atkinson, and here to Plaistow. This pump station is, functionally will be designed to meet your future needs for water, and will bring that water into town and up to the new storage tank that's also being part of this project being built up on Sweet Hill Road. The project had originally conceived of this station being located on land just across the border in Atkinson. With issues relating to getting that property acquisition and related easement, it became difficult, and ultimately, and it seemed unlikely, impossible to get that approval. So this alternative site is now being proposed. As was mentioned earlier, most of this land is wetland. We located it as best we could to try to take advantage of a little bit of high ground that does exist right near the road, and minimize some of the wetland impact. This is also located in a flood zone, and that is why there's some significant fill associated with the building of the structure. We'll come off the East Road in accordance with Department of Transportation regulations for driveway entrances, and we will bring up the grade to approximately elevation 82. Keep in mind the flood elevation in this area is 82. What we'll be designing the finished floor inside to protect 3 feet above that 100-year flood elevation, and we'll be looking to basically provide a front area there where there'll be steps to get up to the floor level, and also a roll-up door serving as a functional loading dock to bring in any equipment or materials that might be needed for maintenance in the future. The building is intended to be constructed out of a brick and block masonry exterior. Um, The heating system will be electric. We'll have a standby generator that will be mounted outside, again, above the 100-year flood elevation, and that will be serviced by a LP tank, gas tank. And the structure is approximately 28 by 28, 7.5-foot ceiling height inside. We are looking at this point to reduce the building footprint a couple feet. We believe we can get it down to close to 24 feet in one dimension, but we're waiting for some approvals and final design to do that. But it won't be any bigger than what's shown here, and that's about it. It's a pretty typical pump station, built to last and be durable, and I welcome your input and questions about it.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to open it up for questions from the board again, and then, although we didn't have any comments from the public last time, hopefully, when we're done with the board, if there's any public comments, I do want to hear from the public. So I apologize from last time if there's anybody out there. But this is the real issue here. So Francine has some questions?
I just had one, Jean. I just wanted to know if there's any requirement for temperature or climate control inside of the building. Can you
Just
hear me?
above normal working levels. In the winter, it can certainly be kept in the 50s. We certainly want to protect against freezing. And in the summer, there's really no significant heat generation in here. There is ventilation, but it's an industrial type facility with no unique heating or cooling requirements.
Do we need any kind of temperature sensor located in there to indicate whether it's approaching critical mass, either hot or cold, or is that not necessary?
No, that's not necessary.
Okay, thank you.
Lori?
Yeah, could you tell us why the pump house needs to be located on East Road?
Well, the requirements associated with the regional agreement bringing water to the town of Plaistow requires that there be a flow metering capability as we enter into the town of Plaistow. We could be on either side of the line. We could be further away, but there would be issues relating to capturing any user within that flow metering capacity. This is basically setting the amount of payment for the water that will be used by the town, and as such, there'll be this metering requirement. So that really pushes us to be close to the border. If we were further in town somewhere, those that would be properties that would be on the service side of the station, I mean, where their customers are beyond the station, would be fine. But anyone before the station, we would have metering problems and issues relative to proper billing in accordance with the regional agreement.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the board? If not, I have a couple questions. The water line itself will come in, obviously, on that side of the road from Atkinson, is that correct?
Yes.
So the water line will go along near the road and come right to the pump house. And I'm just trying to envision exactly where the water line itself would be from the road.
Yeah, it is shown on that drawing there, and you can see the edge of pavement, and it runs. I don't know if I can get
Is that the
control to be
squiggly
able to-
line there?
It's right here, Jim.
It is the one where you see a hydrant and you can see these.
Oh, I see it. Yeah, I see it now. Okay, thank you.
Right along.
Yeah.
It's a very straight line. So what happens is we tee off of it and run into the station. And then that would be the suction side of the pump. And then we'll come back out. And on your drawing, there is a valve missing in between these two lines. But as your two lines run into the in and out of the station, they'll reconnect with the main and move right into the distribution system of the town.
Okay. Question on the noise of the pump. I know Atkinson put in a pump house, or they're putting one in, or they did put one in, very similar size, 28 by 34, 950 square feet. And they had, they said they would have 3 pumps in there. Initially, one at 15 horsepower, one at 30, and then they would have one at 50 and 90. And they said that the decibel level would be somewhere in the low 50s. I'm just kind of thinking about this house 117 feet away, and I don't know, I've heard different stories about whether you can hear the pump or not. It's a hum, I guess. Maybe you could just comment on some of the sound and what you're going to do to mitigate it.
Yeah, I would say for starters that 50 decibels, I'm not familiar with their calculation of that, but I believe they're talking about inside the building and with everything running. Ours is much smaller in regard to the capacity of the pumps. And most of the station, this one is certainly included. You won't even be able to tell whether the pumps are operating when you stand outside the building. They're really very quiet electric motors. The only real noise that would be generated periodically would be from the standby generator, which again is a gas LP run generator. But the noise levels are very, very low, even for that.
Okay. And the reason I asked that is I didn't want to have a situation where the guy next to it, it goes in and suddenly we have this noise that he can't stand. I've heard, like you said, that you can't hear it from outside the pump house. I just wanted to make sure. I know what they did in Atkinson is they actually had a condition to follow. It was a different case in Atkinson because it was Hawk. It wasn't the town coming before. I'm just raising the issue. I'm sure the town will deal with it if there's a noise issue there, but I just want to make sure that that's been thought of, because that's something we would say if it was a Hawk coming in or whatever. They did have a condition that said the completion and notation of a sound attenuation plan to be completed within 30 days of the building going operational. I'm just putting it out there. I'm not suggesting that be done. I just want, that would be my comment, that that's the kind of thing the planning board would say about a project like this.
Yeah, I understand people are very unfamiliar with these kind of stations, and it would be a reasonable concern. But I can assure you that will not be an issue here.
Okay. Any other comments?
I think there are from the public.
I hear a lot of shaking of the head. No other comments from the board, so I will open it up to any members of the public who are out there. John, help us out. Is there any abutters or anybody? Mr. Cashel is the gatekeeper tonight.
Two attendees that do have questions to ask. One is Mr. Don Weiss, and the other person is Lisa.
Okay, can we start with Mr. Weiss, you said? Can you turn his?
Both microphones are on and ready.
Okay, Mr. Weiss, if you're out there, your comment, please.
I'm here. How you doing?
Good.
I'm Don Wise, live at 18 Sunrise Terrace, and after listening to all the info, my questions have been answered. I was worried about pump station actually taking well water, and it looks like it's not, which is fine because that means we're not going to have that same problem they got in Hampstead where they're draining the thing. And also, being it's 18 Sunrise, even though you guys are talking 24, the real issue is on East Road, and that's quite a distance from me. So I'm fine with it. Have at it. You guys doing a great job. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments. And who was the other man?
Lisa.
Lisa Spinucci, your mic is on if you want to comment.
Oh, hi, how are you all?
Hi,
We're
how are
all
you?
new to all this stuff here. And we just have some concerns because when we bought this house, we were told that nobody could ever build next to us because of the wetlands. And we're just a little worried about what type of impact, if any negativity would happen, you know, with our property and with our well system. We've only been here for just about 2 years. So, like I said, we're new to the area and we're a little concerned about a few things with it. You know, so
Could you
just trying
clarify,
to
Lisa, excuse me, Lisa.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is Jim Peck. Where do you live? What is your address?
I'm at 39 East Road,
Okay, so
Plaistow.
you're at that house that's closest to where the pump would be?
Yes.
Okay, go
Yes.
ahead.
Yeah. So I was just wondering if there was any negative impact that this was going to have on my well system, or like basically the noise and vibrations and all that type of stuff. You know,
We
because I
just
was told when we bought the house that nobody could ever build next to us or anything because of the wetlands. So, you know, which was one of the reasons why we bought the house. But I don't know. Just a few concerns. Just want to get educated on what's going on.
Oh, we hear you. Did you hear the conversation about the sound? That was one of your questions and one of your concerns. Did you hear that? Okay.
Yes, I did.
okay.
I did, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. Did you hear the other questions? Maybe, Mr. Hanley, you could comment on that?
Well, I was just trying to figure out, like, 117 feet,
Mr.
I
Ford.
believe he said, from my house, from my property line to the station.
Yes. Why don't we let Mr.
Okay.
Forbes, I guess it's Mr. Forbes that would comment.
Okay.
Yeah, I would be happy to. It's a little bit more than that. I think the quote of 117 feet was to the property line. If you look at the site plan that we have drafted, we're showing a fill area that adds some additional footage. I think we're about 25 feet further from the property as well,
right.
before you get to the building.
Yeah.
I understand your concerns about noise. Again, that will not be an issue. There will be, of course, noise and activities when it's built, short term, when it's being built. Other impacts, you mentioned the concern about potential impacts to your well. There will be nothing here that we're touching in regard to the hydraulic condition of the area of the soils. This small amount of fill is not going to create any impact. We're not taking any water or putting any water into the wetland, and this is really a benefit in that as the water main is running in front of your property because of this project, that will be an opportunity for you to connect to municipal water if you wish, which I think is a improvement to due to this project. So I can tell you these things. I think the best way to really understand it is to maybe look at some other stations, if you like, or any of the board members like.
Yes, I was hearing you talking about Atkinson, so I was going to get a little educated from over there too, and just so that I know what's going on, and you know, like I said, just want to really get educated on it and
Sure.
understand the process and what's happening, you know, in my backyard, basically.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you know, it will be a disruption during construction, which will
Yeah.
span over several months. And once it's built and operating, you won't even know it's there.
Now, would they consider putting up like a barrier, like, you know, a sound wall between my property and the station? Is that anything that they would think of?
I've never seen any type of sound wall put around a station because these
Okay.
just simply are not noisy.
Oh, all right, all right. Okay, it was just, you know, a thought.
Okay, you all set,
Thank you
Lisa?
very much. I
Thank
am.
you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
No, thank you for your
You're
input.
welcome.
We appreciate your input. Thank you very much.
I-
Is there anybody
You're
else
welcome.
out there, John?
No one with questions.
No written questions? No emails? Did you check your email?
I'll do that right now.
I slipped that one on. Okay, we're just
I can
waiting
learn to
for,
understand you much better if I can get familiar with the way you talk. I need your permission to help.
Okay. Who was that?
Cortana or Alexa?
It's like Alexa.
Alexa. Okay, we're just waiting for Mr. Cash to look at his email, see if there's any other questions from the public, because we want to give the public a chance to comment. That's the purpose of a public hearing, is for the public to have their comments, particularly the abutters. And there are a number of abutters over there, so. But I think the town is very understanding of the neighbors, and the town will do what it needs to do to make sure the neighbors are satisfied. It is an opportunity for those neighbors, because that line, you can see on the chart, is going to run right down East Road. It's going to be there, one of the first lines in town, so there's an opportunity there.
But
Any
then I'll have
emails?
water.
I'm going to have to run upstairs. This computer isn't set up for me yet.
Can I ask him another question?
Okay, well, he's gonna go check his email, and meanwhile, Lori has a question.
Mr. Forbes, when do you anticipate, once we, you know, vote tonight, that the construction on this would start?
Well, we hope to be out to bid probably in September, awarding in the fall and starting construction late fall and into winter.
Okay? Any other questions while we're stalling for time for Mr. Cashel? Come on, help me out. Does anybody have any
Oh,
concern?
I have another question.
Okay, Lori has a question, thank you.
I did hear Lisa ask about vibration. Would she feel any vibration when, is it one pump, two pumps, three pumps? How many pumps and any vibration?
There will be two pumps, and they will be, it's designed really for one to operate and the other being a spare. It better not vibrate. No, it will not vibrate at all. These are very quiet, very well anchored pumps. The vibrations, you wouldn't feel that at all. You wouldn't see anything.
What horsepower are the pumps?
20.
Two 20s?
I believe. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Lori.
Well, I get another one, I might as well.
Go ahead, we're waiting for
Is there going to be any landscaping around the building?
You know, that's one question I was expecting today, and I don't have a good answer. We haven't quite finished our landscaping design. We do expect to at least put some minimal landscaping to screen the generator and the propane tank that would be there. But the front of that area, in front of the building, between the road and the drive area, is probably best without landscaping. I was, kind of curious how the board might think about that. But for now, we would anticipate maybe just a couple of shrubs in front of that left side there, where you see the generator and tank. There'll be a bollard to protect it from being hit by anyone parking or pulling into the site. But We would not really recommend landscaping. We could dress it up that way. There's a functional impact to it. You see the two dry hydrants that we're showing there on the right. That's really for the purpose of emergencies, in which case there might be a complete failure of both pumps, and there needs to be something pulled in there to provide a temporary bypass of the building. And functions like that would be impacted if we put landscaping in front there. So I was kind of wondering how you felt about that, but right now we would propose not to have any significant landscaping.
But you're not going to clear cut the whole 117 feet from the neighbor. There's going to be trees there, right?
Yeah.
Well, you can see the contours. A lot of that will have to be cut because of the issues associated with getting above the floodplain. The state design standards that have been adopted for these types of projects require us to have a functional facility that operates at flood levels 3 feet above the 100-year flood level. And so that's why you see these contours on that site plan, raising the parking area elevation. And we're raising it really as much as we can while still meeting DOT driveway entrance requirements. And so as we raise it up out of that floodplain, we need to slope the sides down to the original grade. And that's where the contours extend very close to the property line. So a lot of that would be removed.
On that?
So Mr. Peck's question was about the 117 feet. There will be no cutting on the other property, landowner's property.
Right.
So there will be no cutting between
Right.
the edge of this subdivided property and the neighbor.
Right, and I would imagine you probably wouldn't cut much of where you're not building in your 20,000, or would you cut the whole 20,000?
Whatever's necessary for
Whatever's
construction.
necessary. Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would say we're really, thank you for that clarification, Mark, because we're not in the remaining property. But we would be essentially cutting the areas that you see on that drawing that are, there's like a curved line that illustrates the edge of clearing, just,
Yeah.
beyond the lowest contour. So that shows you where, and we are not intending to touch a large part of the property to the left of that site, to the north of that area.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Cashel, back, any emails?
I'm back. The computer won't let me in, it doesn't recognize.
Okay. Okay, we apologize. If you send an email, and we apologize, we can't get to those emails, so.
However,
Yeah.
I do have a solution.
Okay.
A new email address, jcashel@comcast.net.
Okay, if you're trying to get an email in, it's jcashel@comcast.net. We don't have forever, but so please send it in.
No.
Unless we can come up with more
I can-
questions
I can-
here. Oh, Lori's got a question. Lori, go ahead.
Will there be workers, once it's built, will anybody have to go there daily to check on anything? Or, I'm sure you're going to have alarms in there, but how often would you say somebody's going to have to go there?
Yeah, that will most likely be every few days. It does not need to be checked every day. They're likely to stop in a few times a week.
Yeah.
And yes, there are alarms for a variety of things.
That's what I figured.
Are alarms going to be going off all the time?
She's still there.
No, these are alarms that are going to be
Mr. Castle, you should shut
transmitted
off
to
for a
the
minute.
Public Works.
What's that?
Somebody's commenting, we should shut them off unless they're. Who was that just commented? Don't shut them off yet.
It's Lisa.
That was Lisa. Okay, Lisa, you
Lisa,
should
I
address
asked
the
if
chair
alarms
when you
were
want to
gonna
speak.
be going off all the time.
No,
Or I
we
should
have
raise my hand.
we have no external alarms. These are all just radio telemetry to the town.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
There will also be a security feature there with the building. We're looking at an external camera, and, again, that'll be something that will not generate noise or local alarms, but there will be that security.
Okay. All right, we're going to check one more time on the email, and we're going to move on here. Any emails, Mr. Cashel?
Yeah, I don't have any more questions.
And Lori's running out of questions, so.
Oh, great.
Oh, we have a question from our alternate selectman representative.
Can I just ask one simple question?
You should get to a mic, please. Sorry, Greg.
The question I have is, would there be fencing around the building to prohibit people from trying to break into the building?
We're not showing that at this time, and many systems like this, many stations are fenced, but we are not calling for fencing.
Okay, thank you. All right, so unless there's any more comments from the public, I'll ask one more time.
No
emails.
If not, we're going to close the hearing and go into deliberation. And deliberation just means that we need to discuss whether we want to add any conditions. You'll notice that the draft motion lists some possible conditions, and I didn't really hear any conditions unless I missed something.
No.
I think they heard what we said about noise, they heard what we said about maybe, putting something up, some shrubbery. I don't know necessarily if we have to put any conditions. I think the town's well aware of what they need to do. So I'll ask if anybody wants to make the motion as it is with no conditions. Anyone?
All right, I'll do it. Finding that the aforementioned use is provided for in accordance with the provisions of RSA 674-54, governmental land uses, and that it is necessary relative to the proper storage and distribution of potable water. As such, shall be provided by the soon-to-be-implemented municipal water distribution system. The planning board herein recommends favorably to the Board of Selectmen the construction of said water storage tank.
Water pump house.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's
wrong.
water
Yeah,
pump house.
Water pump house.
Yeah, they wrote it in there wrong.
All right.
Set you up. We set you up on that.
They did, I know.
Okay, we're looking for a second. Second by Karen. All right, any further discussion? If not, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And abstentions? All right, the motion passes 5-0-0. Again, that's just a recommendation and our approval on this construction. But thank you for your presentation, Mr. Forbes, Mr. Hanley. I know you get your names mixed up, but thank you, and thank you, Mr. Pearson.
Thank you all.
You're welcome to stay, but we're going to move on to the next hearing. Okay, the next hearing that we have is PB 20-07, so bear with me as I read through this. This is the completion of an application from Ocean Storage LLC, CO, Brusier and Brusier, PA. The application seeks to amend an approved site plan to change the previously approved but not constructed retail space to a climate-controlled self-storage building of plus or minus 99,000 square feet. The property is located at 88 Plaistow Road, tax maps 27, lot 21 in the C1 district, 88 Plaistow Road, LLC. Mark Murphy is the property owner of record. If the application is found to be complete, the planning board may immediately conduct the public hearing. So what we need to do before we open a public hearing is we need to approve, make a motion that the application is complete. Again, we have a staff report. A lot of stuff went into this. Our staff is recommending that the plan is complete. So unless there's any discussion on that, I'll entertain a motion on completeness of this application.
Yeah, I'll make the motion. I move to accept as complete the application that proposes to amend the site plan for 88 Plaistow Road, tax map 27, lot 21, to change the previously approved retail use to self-storage.
Okay, motion has been made. Looking for a second.
I'll second that.
Second by Laurie. Thank you. Any further discussion on that motion? If not, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And abstentions. All right, the vote is 5-0-0. So I'll immediately open the public hearing on the motion, on the matter. So who is here? I know we have Mr. Malinowski. Is that you, Mike, that's going to present this? If he's still there?
Hold on 1 second. Here we go. Yep, he's here.
Looks like we may have momentarily lost him.
Did you delete him?
No. Hopefully not. I'm back.
It looks like he's gone from the screen.
Oh, staff?
Staff right here.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
there
what
he
you
is.
do, you just keep clicking until it works.
Well, Lisa somewhere.
Yeah,
Alexa.
send a webcam request.
He's here.
Yeah, so, yeah, he just needs to unmute his microphone.
Okay. Actually, I think Mr. Green was supposed to be here, too.
Let me see if he's under attendees.
Is he a part
Richard
of the
Green?
project?
That's him.
Okay, is that, okay, so is he, so he's able to speak now? Oh,
Well, they're looking for that. I just want to say, not to steal any thunder by the presenter, but this is an amended site plan. The previous site plan was approved last summer. I think everybody understands that
Yeah, which was
on the
also-
board. I know that most of us were here. Karen wasn't here.
It was also an amended plan last.
It's also, this property, the first site plan was in 2017. And then it was amended in 2019, last summer, and now they're coming back to amend it a third time. So we need to understand that sequence of events as soon as we find them, if we find them.
okay, so Malinowski, he needs to unmute his mic. And Green, we just invited him to be an organ.
Let's see if I can find him.
Okay.
Maybe he has a telephone number here.
Yeah.
You might have a question on something.
Everybody should have the plans in front of them, too.
Yeah, Green, we sent him the invite, but it didn't, I don't know if he has an invite to be an organizer, but he's not coming up.
Two numbers here.
Yeah, it's not allowing him to. Is Malinowski speaking?
Yeah.
Yeah, he needs to unmute his mic.
There's nobody answering. They have two
Yeah,
contact
so-
telephone numbers.
So,
No
yeah,
one's
this
answering.
is on them to be able to,
Yeah.
I can't.
Okay, apologize to people at home. We're trying to find the people that are on a remote.
Maybe you could tell people where this property is located.
Okay, Lori said I should maybe tell you where this property is located. It's 88 Plaistow Road. If you're driving up 125, you go by Dunkin' Donuts, you go by Pest End. There's a tire place, and I can't remember, I think it's S&J Tire? Not tire, but is it? Yeah. But anyway, there's a lot right there, and that's where the property is, just before.
Next door to the Tractor Supply.
Next door to a tractor place, yeah, I think it's S&J Tractor. But that's the property that in 2017, the planning board approved a site plan to put a bus company in the back lot and retail in the front lot.
Oh, we got,
In 2019, they decided to discard the bus company in the back lot and to put storage in the back lot, keep the retail in the front lot. And that was approved in 2019. Now they've come back and said, scrap the retail in the front on 125 and put storage there. So they would have storage in the front and storage in the back. So the only change to the plan, I believe, and this is one of my questions, is in the front. The plan in the back that we approved last year, most of us were here, that's not changing. What's changing is the front. And what they're looking for in the front is no longer retail. It would be a less intrusive type usage. It would be storage in the front. However, it would be 3 stories, so that's a consideration here. That in a nutshell is what we're here to talk about. There have been a couple of waivers. I should mention the original plan called for some invasion of the there's a lot of wetlands on this property in between the front and the back, let's put it that way. They did get a waiver back in 2017, which is still in effect, that was approved by the ZBA, and that carries forward with the property. So they do have permission to intrude into the wetlands and put a driveway over the wetlands. That's a waiver from the ZBA. We can't do anything about that. That's a done deal. The second waiver they got was to approve the use of self-storage or mini-storage in the back property by the ZBA. They got a waiver last year on May 30th, 2019. That was a waiver for the back property, in my opinion. However, I'm told it may be a waiver for the whole property. That's a question I have. But when they went to the ZBA to get that waiver for self-storage, because self-storage is not allowed in C1, it's only allowed in industrial. So they got a waiver from the ZBA, but the way they pitched it to the ZBA was, this is just the back. It's going to be covered by trees and surrounded by trees, so no big deal, and the ZBA approved it. So there is a question, at least in my mind, that perhaps the ZBA should revisit it because now they're putting self-storage in the front, and that wasn't presented that way. There are no trees surrounding the front. That's an issue that we can address with, if we ever get anybody here to ask a question.
Okay,
But Greg, you had a question?
A clarification, Jim, you said that the back lot did not change, but the 3-story building is a major change to the back lot.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Right.
So I try to miss that. That's a significant change to the back lot. So it's the back lot and the front lot.
Right. Right, the back lot, there's 57,000 roughly square feet. There is a 3-story building, but it's only 30,000. It's not the big 90,000 in the front, and there's some other smaller buildings in the back. But if you look at the plan from last year, which I have a copy of, there's no change to the back. So from a planning board standpoint, we approved that last year. There would be no, I don't think there'd be any reason not to approve the back. The only issue is the front lot.
So last year also had a 3-story building?
No.
No.
Mr. Mayanuski, are you with us?
Oh, we can see him now.
Can
We
you hear
lost
us?
you there, Mike.
He's frozen. He's frozen.
Well, that's your
He's
picture
frozen.
anyway.
He's frozen.
Okay,
He's
yeah.
lost in thought.
Yeah, yes, the wireless is failing right now.
I think Tim set this up because when he was no longer the board chair, that we'd have this, these remote meetings. Thank you, Tim.
Tim's probably glad he's not chair anymore.
Oh, okay, Mr. Mayanuski, are you with us?
He didn't hear us.
His mic's
He's
on.
got his mic on mute, doesn't he?
He has his mic on now.
Yeah, can you hear us?
I don't think so.
Doesn't look like it.
I just make sure that we're not,
Audio not connected. So.
Dante. Okay,
He's very patient, isn't he?
Well, he's getting a little frustrated now.
More patient than me.
There's some bad.
He hasn't left.
yeah. Well, the issue with the wireless, that's not helping us.
By the way, another editorial comment, if you will. We didn't receive the board, for whatever reason, we didn't receive anything until 10:30 on
This
Monday
needs to be on
night
a wired connection and-
on this
and,
project. So, we've been scrambling to make sure we understand what's going on, and I think it's very important that the board understand what they're voting on, and they have time to review the materials. The worst thing I find on these boards is trying to have enough time to make an intelligent decision, intelligent vote. So, as we go through this, let's ask questions, but if we feel that we need to continue with this, that's always an option. I'm not suggesting that, but, we can do it. We have 65 days. We didn't have a heck of a lot of time to look at this. Just throwing that out.
May I make a suggestion that if
Yes.
in another 10 minutes that we can't interact with this gentleman, that we table this?
Yes,
until
if we can't, do we have any possibility of, what do you think, Dean?
I'm just going to close this out and go back in and try
Or
this
do we-
again.
do we have to take it
'cause
under our jurisdiction?
That I wouldn't.
I don't know.
Francine suggested that if we can't make a connection in a certain time frame, that we should continue the hearing. Did I open the hearing?
Yeah, you did.
I'm just going
You
to,
did.
Oh, yes.
Close it.
But we haven't asked any
I don't
questions.
want to close this out. 'cause
I
there's
really like
people
the
in here.
opportunity to ask questions because I have
No.
questions.
I know.
I know.
But yes, let's
but,
wait
yeah, my
a
hands
certain
are tied
time
here.
frame. Let's, I don't know, 5 more minutes. I don't even know if Mr. Malinowski can hear us.
It doesn't look like you can hear us.
Doesn't look like he can, no.
No, we lost, the Wi-Fi has failed us a couple times, so I don't think everything restored properly.
I think so.
So Dean, would you suggest we move on or wait?
I don't know what to tell you, Jim.
We could go on to the next,
Yeah,
and come back.
Yeah, we could go on to something else here.
Close
Why
the
don't we do
public
that?
hearing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good suggestion. I should have thought of that. Okay, so let's go to, let's talk about, oh boy, let's talk about the CIP
public
plan.
hearing.
What?
Close the public hearing?
You have to close the public hearing.
I'm sorry. I'm going to, I guess I'll close we'll have to close the public hearing. We'll reopen it in a minute. So the public hearing is closed. Let's talk about the capital improvement plan. Tim has circulated that. It's a huge document. Hopefully, everybody got a chance to look
Says
at
he's
it.
not getting our audio.
Technically, the board has to vote to approve it. It's important to understand that this is really last year's plan, and Tim can take us through and explain it to us.
Well, you're right, it is
Now,
last
They
year's
might be able to hear us now.
plan.
The bars just came on.
And the last CIP committee meeting was, I think, September 12th or 18th.
We got bars here now.
Of last year. And what we've tried to do over the last couple of years is, there's always some last-minute
Okay. Yeah, if we can-
changes or
if you can try
additional
reaching us
information
now.
submitted, so the thing kind of hangs on, and then
So,
you get into November, December, and then we're, consumed with zoning every year. And then last year, we had a lot of master plan work, so the CIP kind of just
he can
sat
hear us now.
in limbo. And we have, in the past, we, the planning board, have approved it, adopted it, whatever term we are using. The last couple of years, I think, has been adopted. But we really don't need to do that if we choose one way or the other. The CIP is set up, so it's a report from the CIP committee for the Board of Selectmen and Budget Committee to use as a guideline to prepare the budget. So it's kind of a document that sits there. We certainly can review it and make comments like anyone else could. But according to the RSA, at least, we don't need to officially adopt it. Like we have done that previously, and it's totally up to the board what we want to do.
Jim?
So,
Laurie?
I just have a couple suggestions to the document. I'd like to see the RSA put in the document. I noticed this year you put in the warrant from 1984, and I think that's good that you put that in. I'd like to also see the RSA in there. I believe it's 674.5 maybe. I don't, the RSA itself that let us create.
that kind of authorizes
Yes.
CIP?
I'd
Yep, good point.
I'd like to see that RSA,
Yep, I'll do that.
right under where you put the warrant. You put the 1984 warrant in.
Yeah,
Another suggestion I have is I'd like to see the threshold raised. Right now, it's 10,000. I don't really, these days, 10,000 doesn't seem like something that we need to really save over a period of time. I'd like to see it, I don't know, maybe 30, 40, 50,000 threshold. I don't think we would need to save over a period of time for $10,000. I would think that would be something that could come out of the budget or.
Well, actually, just my response to that.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, let's get Tim's response. I have a response too.
Yeah, we can do that as well. It was, a few years ago, it was 5.
Yeah,
We raised it to 10. The number of projects that are in there that are between, I don't know, say 10 and 50, probably not that many. It's kind of 6 of one, half dozen of the other. The important thing, though, is that the CIP is just the guideline document. So regardless of the amount of money that's in the CIP, either total over a number of years or for a single year, in order to actually effectuate that, it has to be either in the amount, either in the department operating budget or as a warrant. So just because it's in the CIP doesn't mean come next April or May that you get the money. So it's not a question of everything needs to either be in the budget or in a warrant to actually implement the.
Right.
Francine?
Yeah, and I think too, it may be tied into the longevity of the capital asset. And I know there's a definition in there that says it has to last X amount of years and
Right.
blah, blah, blah. So we may also want to check with Greg Colby to make
Yeah.
sure that all of that, like kind of dovetails together. But that's probably a really good point, to maybe raise the threshold. But we might also have to change the definition of what the capital asset is too.
I think we should check with Greg Colby, but I don't see it going to 30,000. Maybe you could go to 20,000, but there are projects that you need to stretch that might be in that category. I know at the library we have some of those projects, but I'm not against changing it,
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
It would-
Just,
Yeah, no, you're
just
right.
a suggestion.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a good one, it's a good
Yeah.
one, yeah.
We're able to go back now to Mr. Malinowski, so I will reopen the hearing, and I'm not going to read it again, because everybody's heard it. And let's see if we can get Mr. Malinowski to comment on the 88 Plaistow Road. Knock on wood. There he is, he's smiling. Go ahead, Mike.
Unmute your mic, please. Oh, let's see. It says self-muted. Click.
Can he hear us?
It's looking promising.
Click to unmute. Attendee is muted by an organizer.
By the organizer, it says.
Oh, there we go. Try now.
Thank you. Yes, there we go. Can you hear me now?
No. Can he hear us, though?
Can you hear us, Mike?
I can hear you.
He said he could hear, I could read his lips, he said he could hear us, but
All right.
we can't hear him.
If you can hear us, Mike, wave your hand.
Is there some kind of volume?
There we go.
Yeah.
It might be his microphone, though.
Is his mic on?
Mike, is your mic on?
It is.
Is your mic on?
I do. I can hear a little. I can hear a little bit.
Volume.
Can you hear me?
You may have to shout, Mike.
No, that's off.
Can you hear me?
Boy.
Yeah, that's, yeah, I don't know, if he's got some kind of plug-in device or something on his end that,
Well, I
That's
think they kind
responding.
of can now. I don't know, but,
that's where he wanted, that goes to the owner.
Can you call your phone? We can put on speaker.
that,
Call your phone and we can put
This phone, I'm told, doesn't
Not
work.
that phone. Do you have a, what about my town phone? You
I'm gonna
want me
try
to
one
try
thing,
that?
I'm
I
gonna
can,
try-
you can give him his mic, because I have my town phone here. No?
I can put him on, I can call him up on this phone and then just put it on speaker. Try doing that.
Yeah, if you can.
I'm gonna try once more.
We're going to try to put you on a speaker with a cell phone, Mike. So we're going to call you.
Mike, can you hear me? Not if you can.
Frozen again.
Darn.
oh, boy.
You might be able to hear us, though. Mike, can you call on the number 339-927-0023?
Hear me now?
Now
Lady.
look at the number. No,
Yeah, looks like he is.
he heard us. Oh, good.
Oh, you can't listen now because they can't hear you.
Again, that's 339.
All right, hold. 1 sec.
Here we go. Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, thank you.
Something with the
Yeah.
display in the room.
Yeah, he can be heard loud and clear on cable, but we can't hear him.
Well, we could see him there while he's speaking. You could leave him there if you
Right.
want.
So, Mike, do you want to call me on my cell phone, and we'll put you on speaker?
I can do that.
Okay, 339-927-0023.
It's the workaround.
We,
You always got to use a spare tire. Here we go. This might be him. Hello?
Hello?
This is Mike?
Yes, it is.
Okay, good. Let me put you on speaker.
Okay.
Is Mike going to be able to hear us? You can hear us, Mike.
I can hear you.
Okay.
oh, perfect. All right, good.
Hey, this is
Hear him.
great.
All right.
Finally.
All right, so now, Mike, we can try to conduct our public hearing, okay?
Okay, Mike, we're going to try to conduct this. Mr. Cashel has MacGyvered this, so go ahead.
I just need access to present.
Access to what?
To present? Present?
You know, he said he wants to present, so I'm gonna give him,
Oh, boy.
a
Here we go.
presenter, so he
He's
can.
gonna have to come.
Serenity now.
I know.
All right, you should be all set.
Thank you.
Ooh.
Okay, that's a nice property you got there. That's going to look very nice when it's done.
You want this?
Right on 125.
phone?
Pardon?
You want the phone? Okay. Let's see if we can.
No, why don't you bring it up here, yeah? Because I can't hear too well. I'll hold it by the mic.
I'll have to translate to Jim.
You have it on loud?
Speaker's on there. That's as maxed out as you can get.
Okay, Mike.
All right. Can
Take
you
it
see
away.
my screen? Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. My name is Michael Malinowski. I'm with Allen and Major Associates. We are representing Ocean Storage LLC this evening for a site plan amendment for a property located at we had been before you back in 2019 initially for the first to receive a variance to allow for self-storage on this property.
Hold on,
And then we
time
had-
out here.
Yep.
Is he coming through over there? Because I can hear it over there. Okay, then I don't need this, right?
No.
Okay, I can't even hear that, so. Okay, go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
Okay, that's okay. Turn that off. All right. So if everybody can hear me. So we were here back before you for a site plan to propose self-storage for this property back in 2019. Back in 2019. I apologize for that. For a self-storage facility that's located in the back. We are before you to do an amendment for what is the front portion of the property to allow another self-storage facility. We have maintained the project disturbance. We still have two driveways. We have one here that's approved by DOT along Route 125. We also have an existing one that will remain active in this location as well. As you can see by this nice yellow red line that runs the property, that was the former disturbance for the property where the pavement was when we had two smaller buildings out front. The project now proposes a 3-story self-storage facility, approximately 96,000 square feet of climate-controlled storage. There will be a mix of some areas, as you can see by small hatching that's in the front, that'll be a drive-up, so those will be accessed through the outside. The majority of the property has remained the same. We still have access and paved access around the entire building. I will sort of switch to this view if everybody can see that one still. Okay. So this sort of gets into a little bit larger view. Shows the access around. We are still maintaining stop control around the property. That is the rear, which is climate controlled. That has been previous approvals. And this gets into the drainage. The drainage for the property has remained the same, both in the front and the back. We have two large at-grade detention basins that are here that collect stormwater. There's also a second one here that are interconnected. As part of the project, we needed to submit to NHES alteration of terrain, which is currently reviewing the stormwater. We do have a reduction in impervious surface from what was previously approved by an excess of 11,000 square feet. So we are reducing the impervious surface that was previously approved. We will still have discharge control towards the back out of this pond, which reduces the rate of stormwater to below pre-development rates in accordance with town rules as well as state rules. Utilities are still the same. On-site, the facility will be serviced by an on-site well, which will be located here in this location, as well as an on-site septic. The occupancy for this building is roughly between 3 and 4 staff members. There'll be a small leasing office and maintenance, but that is the extent of staff control. We are proposing to connect to gas. We do have fire suppression line that is being run and connected to an existing main on 125. It does run through the site to the back of the facility, which will be connected to sprinklers. We also have made provisions to extend fire suppression to the rear of the new facility and provide service as well. We have underground electric and communications that will be run as part of the project. Additionally, we have an extensive landscaping plan that was done as part of the project. Even though we've changed the building to a single building from the previous two, we have maintained the perimeter landscaping and the quantity of trees and shrubs that was previously approved. So even though there has been a change in use out front, we are still providing vegetative barriers and buffers at the perimeters of the property on both sides, as you can see, as well as enhanced landscaping along the front of the property as well. That sort of sums up what we are proposing to do for this site plan amendment. I'd be happy to answer any questions that the board that may have.
Okay, thank you, Mike. I'll open up to questions from the board. Laurie?
I realize you did get a variance from ZBA last year because the town does not allow storage in a C1. And so I know you did get that variance, but I believe the plan that the ZBA saw showed retail buildings out front and that the storage would be out back. And I believe the ZBA even commented that they approved it also because you wouldn't see it because of the trees out back. And so when they gave you the variance, they had no idea that these retail businesses out front were now going to change.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on that. I noticed that as well. If you go back to the May 30th, 2019 ZBA deliberation, when they I think you were there, Mike, they voted to approve that waiver that Laurie mentioned. It was couched in terms of it all being in the back and being surrounded by trees. In fact, that was one of the justifications for it. You couldn't see it. That obviously is not a question for us, but that's a lingering question in my mind. And I think I would like to hear back from the ZBA to see whether they believe that they need to revisit it. I don't know what your opinion is, Mike.
Well,
I know your
based on our presentation of the ZBA, as we had indicated, that the front was speculative at that time. We didn't have a defined tenant. The ZBA actually granted the decision with no conditions. So the ZBA themselves deliberated and issued a decision that carried no conditions for that variance. So they approved the use. It's our opinion that the use is conducive of the parcel. And as there's no conditions, it doesn't stipulate that it needs to be in one location or not.
So it's your position that the ZBA approval was for the entire parcel, even though the way it was discussed at that meeting was for the back lot?
That's correct.
Okay. I don't think any of us can really answer that. We probably have an opinion on it. But in my mind, that's a lingering question that I'd like to get answered. I just don't feel comfortable on that question. Having read the minutes from last May, in fact, one of the members of the ZBA even commented that he was voting for it because of the fact that the storage buildings were three-story storage buildings were surrounded by trees. And now we have a situation where we have 3 stories in the front, which has nothing surrounding it. It's right on 125. So I think that's not a question for this board. That's a question for the ZBA. But it would be one of the reasons why we should perhaps continue and get that answer. Are there any other questions from the board?
Well,
Comments
with
on that?
all due respect, I mean, the variance was approved with no conditions. So it is we are abiding by those rules.
Okay. Any other comments on that or any other questions?
I have another question.
Laurie?
How many, what's the footage that this building is from 125? Or maybe actually from the sidewalk? I believe there's a sidewalk there.
So we are 70 feet from the side to the left, and a little over 102 feet from the right. So the building does fit within the building setbacks.
What is the, I'm looking at the original building, which is the retail, and that was a much smaller building, as you said, Mike. It was one 10,000 square foot, one 7,000, and it didn't take up as much. But the footprint appears to be very similar. Is there any difference in the footprint of this new building versus the old building?
No, so the footprint so if you look at the two previous buildings, the outer footprints match what we are proposing. So that was one of the things that when the new client, Ocean Storage, came to us and said, can we get this building on here? We looked at it and said, we have rough limits of where the building is, and we need to maintain those, as well as the pavement and circulation around the building. So you'll notice that the pavement around either side of the building hasn't changed. So we've put this, granted it's one building, we fitted within the confines of what was previously approved.
So the length of it, just looking at the length of it, is basically the same as the old building from one end to the other end, about the same?
That's correct.
But the width of it looks, how far deep it goes, looks a little bit bigger or wider. Is that true?
It's a little wider front to back, yes.
Yeah, because you've got less of a parking lot in the front. You've kind of invaded the original parking lot. Okay, now the other question I had was there was a septic on the original, on the plan last year, which was between the two buildings. Is that septic still there in this new drawing or not?
Septic won't be there, so if you, so we do have provisions for a new septic that is going to be out front. I think I have.
Okay.
So we do have a provision for a new septic system that's in the front here, which is considerably smaller than what was previously envisioned out there. So if you remember, you can see sort of the outline of where that septic system was. The flows anticipated for that original commercial. So in that commercial retail space, we had envisioned the potential for a restaurant maybe, some retail, some commercial space. So the flows that we were anticipating were considerably higher than what we're going to have now. The flows, by state statutes, we have to provide a septic system that meets the minimum 300 gallons. Based on the anticipated employee count out here, we're far below that. So we have to design to the minimum.
Can I interject one moment?
Mr. Cashel?
Mr. Richard Green has had his hand up for some time.
Okay, Mr. Green, I believe he's a proponent for this project. Mr. Green, is your mic on?
Would be on.
Oh, boy.
Whoop. It's green.
Yeah, he's on and ready.
Go ahead, Mr. Green, if you can speak.
He's on.
He may have gone to watch TV.
We're not hearing you, Mr. Green.
Is he an
Something more interesting.
engineer of the project, or?
I'm not sure. Mr. Malinowski, could you tell us who Mr. Green is?
Mr. Green is one of the, he's part of the development team.
Okay, thank you.
When you do see him, just please tell him that we tried to communicate with him.
I just sent him a note.
Maybe he could text you a question or whatever, a comment?
I sent him an email too, but nothing back yet.
While we're waiting, does anybody, any other board members have any more questions on this?
My question was on the proposed building in the front, originally, the retail, was one story.
The mic and the mic.
One story, correct?
Yeah.
Now, they're proposing this climate control self-storage to be 3 stories.
Is that correct, Mr. Malinowski? It's 3 stories versus 1 previously?
Yes.
So do you have another comment on that?
Yeah, did you get a variance or something for that one? For the change?
No, I don't believe he needs a variance. Let me ask Tim. Tim, I don't think you need a variance for a 3-story, do you?
No.
Oh.
We have a height limit of 45 feet. Doesn't say number of stories. And I think if you look at the last sheet, it shows this height is 38 feet. So
Yeah, it's not the 45.
it's within the 45.
So if you go over, first of all, a question for Mr. Malinowski, is it over 45? No.
It is not.
Okay,
No, it's 38.
so it's not an issue.
All right.
However, I would point out that if you looked on 125, this is just a side comment, there aren't a lot of 3-story buildings
No.
on 125. That doesn't mean it couldn't be there. I'm just saying. Go ahead, Francine.
I think this is a substantial change from last year's request, and I personally would not feel comfortable moving forward with this unless the ZBA weighed in on this to
Yeah.
look at the changes, because this, I can't conceive of why this may
Yeah.
not have been, done in the first place last year. Maybe it was a new vendor or a new owner, but this is a substantial change, and I am personally not comfortable in moving forward with this until the ZBA weighs in on it.
What do other people feel?
Same.
I agree.
I agree.
with Francine.
Okay.
I agree.
Now, we do have the option to continue the hearing, and, I kind of feel, personally, I've been scrambling to look at this information, and there's a lot of information here, and I'm not sure exactly why, but we really didn't get this in a proper time.
No.
I don't think it was necessarily applicant's fault, but whatever reason, I don't want to put the board in a position to try to make a decision, as I said before. So I feel myself, as one member of the board, that we should probably continue, give us more time to feel comfortable, and for the other reason that we need an answer from the ZBA. Any other opinions on that?
We didn't receive the information until 10:30 on Monday
Monday
night.
night. That's right.
Yeah, Mike,
I didn't get a chance.
we're
to
not
read it.
sure why, but we didn't get the information until 10:30 on Monday. And there were some reasons, and, regardless of the reasons, I don't want to put the board in a position to make decisions, and I don't think we feel comfortable making decisions until we've had a chance. There's a lot of material here, and I think this is a fairly substantial change. We need an answer from the ZBA. So, I don't know, we've heard from everybody. I think 4 of us feel that way. Tim, I don't know how you feel about that.
If people aren't comfortable voting, they
Yeah.
shouldn't vote.
Okay.
We can take it under our jurisdiction.
Yeah, I
and
think what we should
continue the
do is
public
we should
hearing.
take it under our jurisdiction, which we have by essentially accepting the application. I believe we have 65 days to
Yes.
act,
Yeah.
and we should schedule it for the next time we can do that, Mr.
August
Cashel.
19th.
Would be what?
August 19th.
That's our-
August 19th.
That's our regular meeting.
Yeah.
So it looks like the sentiment of the board, and I don't know if we've lost Mr. Malinowski again, but that's what the sentiment is, Mr. Malinowski, if you're still with us. Hate to ask.
His mic is on.
Your mic is on, Mike, so you can speak. We can't see you, but.
Can we have him appear in front of us next time?
You know what?
Yeah,
At least ask.
Can we
if
do
he has
that?
a-
I mean, I don't know. Is that possible,
Is that
Francine?
allowed by the Board of
Of
Selectmen? or-
course it is.
Well, I don't,
One
you know.
person.
Okay,
We're
What was the
allowed,
question?
we're allowed up to 50 people
Yes.
as long as you socially
Okay.
distance, so yeah.
We're going to see if we can
Exactly.
exercise a more open meeting.
yeah.
You know,
I think
by
we're
August
just
19th.
handicapped. The other reason to
Yes, right.
discontinue this or continue it is that we really, it'd be better to have you here. But no, that's not the entire reason. That's just another reason to continue it. So why don't we, unless there's any public out there, and I guess I'd wait a minute and see if Mr. Malinowski's there. He's probably saying something we can't hear. Maybe we don't want to hear it.
Okay,
But,
what's the result?
We don't have any, I hate to ask this, but do we have any public out there? I guess not. Well, I guess I'll open it up. It sounds like we have a sentiment to continue the hearing. I guess we can't do that until we close the hearing,
Make a
right?
motion.
Yeah, I was just going to say, do you need to close the hearing and then make a
Yeah,
motion?
I
to
didn't, I
continue?
was
you don't
kind of
wanna-
hesitant in closing it. I'm kind of handicapped because I can't
You don't want to
say.
close it. If you want to continue it, then you continue it, but don't close it.
I understand, but I'm just trying to make sure that people who are here get a chance to speak. And I don't know whether they are there.
Yeah.
But, so I will close the hearing.
No, don't close it.
Continue.
No, don't close it. We're gonna
I'm sorry, I'm
continue.
not closing it, I'm continuing it. Thank you,
Yes.
Tim.
Yes.
That's why you were the chair for 22 years. So I will continue the hearing. Can I just make that, or do we have to have a motion to do that?
You have to also make
The
the
date.
date certain, so
Yep,
we're
say
going
the
to
dates.
continue it to August 19th.
Okay, let's have a motion to continue till August 19th.
August 19th.
Yeah.
I'm
I
not
don't
making
think
the
you need a
motion.
motion, just the call of the chair.
Okay, Tim is making the motion and second?
The chair just continues it, right? Whatever.
Yeah, I think the chair just.
The chair can just say it.
Just
Don't
state.
vote on that.
Well, that's,
We're
I
gonna
think we had to
continue
vote.
this
Okay, so
hearing
I'll
and-
continue the hearing.
August 19th?
Until August 19th.
And I'm stepping down, by the way. No,
That didn't last
You're
long.
not.
it didn't last long.
You're doing fine.
I'm
Jim.
not going to make
Fine.
22 years, Tim.
You're doing
All right, so I'll
fine.
continue the hearing, and we'll hear from Mr. Malinowski about that. And we're asking Mr. Malinowski to go back and check with the ZBA, and maybe he
And
can
invite
too.
him to hear.
It's a CBA decision, but it seems to us that they should
You know, I
take
just
another
want to
look.
comment too,
Okay.
that Mr. Green did just call in while everybody was talking, and, you know, he had comments that he has had discussions with Mike Dorman relative to the previous variance, and that Mike didn't have an issue with it. But I told him that, you know, under the circumstances where the planning board pretty much received all of this information within the last 24 hours, pretty
Right.
much. You know, it's just, it's not unusual for a planning board to want to take a little time.
Yeah.
You know, especially when you're going from a fully approved site plan that had retail.
Right.
Right.
And now you're talking storage.
Now, the proposed use is less impact, there's no question about it. It's less impact relative to traffic generation. But there are issues relative to aesthetics.
Right.
You know, when you're looking at a modern-day storefront, you know, a shopping center storefront, you know, a lot of these are being developed today with a lot of physical attraction to them. Whereas when you're talking about self-storage facilities, they're
Not
pretty
much
bland.
difference.
Yeah.
So,
Not much
you know,
decoration.
the one thing with these type of developments, they can be enhanced visually, as both structurally and landscaping wise. And they can be broken up and, you know, have a really nice appearance to them, you know, as opposed to what we typically see when you're driving down a lot of the roadways, the state highways. You do see these type of facilities everywhere, and they don't add to the physical appeal of a community's, you know, drive-by visualization. So, you know, I think that's what we really want to try to focus in on. You know, let's see some renderings of what this is going to look like, and you know, what can we do as a planning board to improve the design, if necessary, once we do see the elevations,
Okay.
elevation drawings and the landscape drawings. And hopefully, for the August 19th meeting, we can have a physical presentation of everything, and that we're not struggling with audio-visual. Both gentlemen did say
Right.
that they were.
In person.
They lost connection again.
That's much better.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for the record, in the minutes, we should put in the reason why we continued, and the reason is we don't feel comfortable, we need more time, it would be better in person, and we need a ZBA answer. Those kinds of things should be in the minutes. So we should give a reason why we did it. I think those are the reasons.
Those
so.
are very good.
Okay.
Yeah, and nobody should feel uncomfortable with that whatsoever.
No, I, you know, as chair, I don't want to be in that position where we make any member uncomfortable that they don't have the information that can make an intelligent decision.
Yep.
Okay, so let's go back to the CIP and our interesting discussion about that. Tim was explaining what was going on. The last thing we talked about was maybe raising the 10,000 up, and I think we concluded that we'd go to Greg Colby and ask his opinion. that's Lori's suggestion. Is there any other comments for Tim, or? Are you looking for a vote, Tim? Because it seems to me a little bit, I understand why you would need a vote to approve it, but it seems like it's last year's plan, and it's already a done deal. So I just question whether we do. I mean, we could vote on it, and I don't see any problem there, but I'm just asking.
Well, I mean, like you said earlier, there is nothing in the RSA that states that the planning board needs to approve it or adopt it or
Okay.
whatever. We have done
Anybody
that
disagree with that?
previously, but
Okay.
it,
I mean, I applaud you, Tim, for all the work you do on that. That's a big document. That's a lot of work, and I know Francine's trying to get me involved in it, and I'm going to resist. I'm going to do it, but I know it's a lot of work, and it's a very important document, I think. So, do we need to talk any more about that, Tim? Are we all set?
I don't think so. I'll bring it up to
Anybody has
the,
any? I know you looked at it, Karen. You spent some time. Do you have any specific questions? Maybe you could talk to Tim on the side.
Yeah, yes, it's huge, yeah. And it's,
CIP guru.
and we've done a huge amount of work in the last couple of years refining it,
Absolutely.
distilling it too. And it's, I mean, I've been on that committee for 4 years and I'm still learning stuff about it, so
Yeah,
it's a huge amount.
It's a very
of
informative
information.
document, very informative.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so that leaves us with one more topic, new business. This is the discussion. It's on a development in Newton. I think everybody is aware of this. There's no hearing. I would say that the city of Newton has a planning board, just like we do. They have a ZBA. Their ZBA met on Monday to discuss this particular project, which borders or it comes into Plaistow a little bit. It's mostly in Newton, and I know Mr. Cashel sent some information out, so I think everybody here knows what I'm talking about. But my understanding from the ZBA meeting in Newton was that was a total disaster. They started the meeting, and everybody was talking over each other, and they just dissolved the meeting, and they didn't really make any decisions. In the end, yesterday, there was a meeting by the Newton Planning Board about this particular project, and I know that maybe Lori can report, she was there, and I know that one major decision that was made will impact us. Maybe you could explain what that is.
I intended it through Zoom, and I don't know if anybody else on the board did that. It's a very large project. Last night was just their plan review phase where there's really no votes taken. The only thing they did was they wanted, because it's such a large project, they wanted to be looked at as a regional impact with, the areas around it. So it's going to be looked at by Rockingham Planning Commission, which Tim is on. And they also want the Plaistow Planning Board to participate in the design review phase of it. So,
The one question I had on that, when they said the Plaistow Planning Board, but it could be the ZBA, right? Couldn't it go to the ZBA?
they said Plaistow Planning Board, I don't,
Yeah, well, the only reason I say ZBA is because that's an LDR district, and that's industrial.
well,
So, I mean, they would have to get a variance.
yeah, they would.
well, but, I mean, the buildings that are in Plaistow, are those not residential units?
They didn't really discuss that last night.
They appear to be large commercial structures. They didn't appear to be houses.
I think it's called an industrial complex, so I don't think it's residential.
Yeah.
Well, they did talk about workforce housing, which would be like
Oh,
apartments.
okay. So are we saying that the part that's in Plaistow might be residential?
I don't know.
We would need to
I
clarify
mean, we don't have
that.
all the information, so.
Clarify that.
So if it's going to be a regional impact, I'm not exactly sure what that means, Tim. Does that mean the RPC takes it, or what happens?
Well, when there's large projects that have the potential for impacting other towns, then in this case, it's the Newton project. So the Newton Planning Board can declare that as a project of regional impact. Abutters could do likewise. So we could write a letter to the Newton Planning Board stating that we think this is a project of regional impact. So there's other ways. Like most everything else, the RPC has a regional impact committee which meets as needed, and their opinions that come back from the Planning Commission are advisory only. So the Planning Commission has no authority to impose any kinds of regulations or whatever. So then it would be up to the Newton Planning Board to take the RPC's recommendations and do with them what they may. So typically, if something is going to have an impact, a regional impact, then you look at, well, what would be the impact to Plaistow of this development? So if these are, if there's really just 4 houses, I don't think very much. If they're industrial buildings, that's kind of another tale. My concern is a bunch of liability issues. So one of the obvious ones that comes up right away is that no buildings or residences in a town outside of Plaistow, well, let me restate that. If you have a building that's in Plaistow, it must be connected to a Plaistow road, which obviously these are not, nor do I see anywhere that you could make a Plaistow road to access those. They're kind of landlocked. So that's one thing. And then there was, if you got my email, it was a whole list of other kinds of liabilities and waivers and whatever, all of which need to be resolved by the town's respective attorneys. I think at one point, Sumner represented both Plaistow and Newton. I don't know if that's still the case or not. It doesn't matter. So, like I say, that was my main concern. If those are industrial buildings, then I would probably could add to that list. But I had assumed that there was 4 residential buildings. But so yeah, we'll stay tuned. I definitely would plan on attending the RPC meeting for regional impact. I'm not on that committee, and even if I were, I think I need to really recuse myself. But so is Glenn Koppelman. He's from Kingston. So anyway.
When is it that meeting?
When is it? Yeah. I don't know. I don't.
Yeah, they just.
Haven't scheduled it yet.
No.
Yeah, they'd have to request the RPC to look at it. Then the RPC has to get people together and find a common date that.
Is there anything that we should do, Tim? Should we, we have all this pile of information. I got some stuff from Mr. Cashel. I got a lot of information here. However, I'm not really prepared to submit questions to the Newton Planning Board, or we don't need to do anything like that, do we?
I would just like to say that I know we got a ton of stuff, in the last minute. There is a letter that is drafted. Everybody got a copy of it. It was the last.
From Mr. Alberti?
No, this is one that was drafted by Dee in consultation with myself and
Actually,
Tim.
it was signed by you, Jim.
Yeah.
Where is
I
it?
don't know it
realize
yet,
it
but
or
you're going to
not.
sign this thing.
Yeah.
But it's really well drafted, and it's not anything other than a friendly, hey, we're over here. We know the vast majority of the project is in Newton, but some of the project is in the town of Plaistow. These are our concerns, and we just want you to know that we'd like to be involved, pretty much
Oh,
every step of the way.
I just saw that. I mean,
Yeah.
I write a good letter.
You do.
Another comment that I wanted to make was, there were a couple of Plaistow residents that did speak because they're direct abutters to the project. And I didn't quite get his name. His name was either Jace, Jason, or Chase, and I don't know if he was one of the developers. He referred to it almost as his property, so I don't know if he owned the property. But he kept insisting to the Plaistow resident that was speaking that he had been in contact with the Plaistow Planning Board, and they were well aware of this project, and he's been working with the Plaistow Planning Board. So I just want it on the record, he hasn't contacted this board directly.
They hasn't contacted the board, but have they contacted you,
maybe
Mr.
he- but-
Cashel, or Dee?
Just in the peripheral sense, many months ago, I had a conversation with Coleman McDonough. This was probably early part of the fall. And, it was just him calling up saying, I might be doing something in the future. But as far as the plans being submitted to Newton and what's taking place in that town this week, it was all news to me as of last week when I was reading through everything and cast off to everybody, as a red flag, hey, this is what's happening over there. They're having these public hearings. It was really hard to decipher, were these formal public hearings or, was this a conceptual review? So I threw a lot of caution out to the board saying you may want to watch at least the planning board public hearing over there in preparation for the seat.
And that's what I listened to last night.
Yeah, I tried listening to it, but I couldn't get the audio going. Just for the record right now, this person might be the Jason Paternek?
The two residents that spoke last night, one of them was Tom Alberti, and the other one, what did you say his name was? No, the other,
One
his name
is
was.
Scott Spindler, maybe?
No, it was.
Jason Paterek?
No, Tom Alberti, and I believe his last name was Beckham. I don't know if it was Stephen or Steve, but those are the two residents that spoke last night.
Yeah.
And they both lived on Ridgewood, so that would be directly abutting this
I
project.
think there is a number of Plaistow butters.
There is, but I mean, I'm just saying, those are the ones
Yeah,
that
they spoke.
spoke last night. Yes.
By the way, before I forget it, Mr. Alberti did send a nice letter. I want it in the record. I don't know do I need to read it in the record? I don't really, do I need to? But I know it's in the record. I wanted Mr. Alberti to know that your letter that you wrote to us is going to be in the record, our record, but it's quite long. It has a number of concerns, and I think everybody on the board has seen it.
Yeah.
And I think we're well aware of these concerns, but we're early on in the process. I just read the letter that was drafted in my name, and I really have no problem with it. I think it's the right response, unless anybody on the board has any objection. I can
It's
work
in the
with Mr.
last
Cashel
page.
to wordsmith it, and we can get that out.
I mean, and also take into consideration, we have not had any submission
Right, that's what it
materials
says,
from the developer.
Right.
So, all we know pretty much is what they're doing in Newton, and as of the two public hearings, one by the ZBA and the planning board this week in Newton.
That's all we know.
It's just the beginning of this entire review process for a rather large development on Plaistow's border and including, some acreage in the town.
I'm just looking at it, and I mean, I have to, from a common sense standpoint, why did they need to go into Plaistow? I mean, really not a heck of a lot in Plaistow. There's two buildings and 2.5 buildings, but you could have designed it, I guess there's a lot of wetlands there. It looks like they kind of shoehorned the whole thing into these wetlands, and it kind of forced them into Plaistow, but that's one of my first questions. I mean, why would you do that and have two towns under jurisdiction. That's their
Further development.
desire, but it just looks
Density.
strange.
Yeah, especially when there's conflicting regulations and
Right.
zoning laws, that makes no sense. But I think it's important for this board to notify the developer in writing or on record that he needs to come to us and not just blow through and do whatever he feels he needs to do in
Well,
Newton.
I mean, one thing, and I pointed this out in the memo, nobody can do anything, especially subdivision of property or site plan activity or any uses that aren't allowed within our zoning district for that land area without coming here first. Now, that was clearly stated by the regional planning agency already to the town of Newton, and that communication has become part of the record for the applicant to realize.
Because some people ask for forgiveness instead of permission, and we've had that happen in this town before. And so I just think that going forward, we need to avoid that.
I mean, in this particular case, because it involves both communities, they couldn't subdivide property and record the subdivision at the Registry of Deeds without both planning boards signing off on it, approving and signing off. The same with the site plan. You know, any activity involving this town's property, they have to get our signatures. It's one of those developments where it's unfortunate for the developer. He has to deal with both communities if he plans on doing development in both communities. In this particular case, it's apparent that's what he wants to do. Well, he's going to have to get approval, all the approvals, and I pointed that out in the memo. You know, there's probably variances. If the use isn't allowed, he'd have to go for a rezoning, potentially, you know. So that's coming to town meeting, you know, so there's, it's a big project. It's a massive project, area-wise, 125-acre site. You know, you can get a lot of development in that.
We have received conceptual plans for this project. It seems like it's been kind of around for a couple of years. Now they, you know, maybe getting now a little more serious. So when they say they've, you know, communicated or Plaistow Planning Board is aware of it, yes, but it was just conceptual plans. I mean, I don't recall that anyone came to a planning board meeting to talk about it. Now, I could be wrong because it was only conceptual, you know, you didn't always pay as much attention. But the project itself, with a large development in Newton and a few buildings in Plaistow, that has been around for a while. So I wouldn't put up too much of a fuss saying, oh, no, Plaistow's never seen it. It's not exactly true. I mean, we're just now getting information that we could make some decision on, but just for, you know, just for, yeah.
Has everybody read the letter that was drafted in my name?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm good with it, except I want to change at the end there where it says, if you have any questions, contact John Cashel. I would change the last part to be, or myself at jpeck@plaistow.com. He's not listening. John?
Yeah.
Did you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, by the way, I have a new email, jpeck@plaistow.com. The reason for that is because I'm the planning board chair and I want to keep my personal stuff out. There is a possibility always that when you do use email, that it could be subpoenaed, and I want to make sure that all my personal stuff is not subpoenaed, for good reason. Okay, do we need to discuss anything more on Newton? Although it's very interesting, is there anything more?
No.
Is there anything else? I thought I had one other thing here. I do have one thing, and just to let you know, this came from our attorney, Charlie Cleary, through Dee Voss, and she sent me a copy of it, but I want the whole board to know. And it says, "Good morning, Planning Board. I just wanted to let everyone know that the Anthonys have filed an appeal of the Planning Board's decision of the ProQuip application. The applicant describes their appeal from an administrative administrative decision as decision of the enforcement officer to be reviewed, June 17, 2020, planning board decision on application 1906, blah, all the different citations. The deadline for filing with the ZBA isn't until tomorrow. This was written on the 14th, which is the 15th, the deadline for them, I guess, to file with the ZBA. So the legal notice is not yet prepared, is yet to be prepared, as I don't know if there will be additional applications that will need to be included. However, this is essentially the language with property location information added as it will appear on the legal notice. So just so you know that, I'll pass this around. You can, it's hard to follow when I'm reading it.
That's why, yeah.
So I believe they also, that was one appeal they could make, and then I guess they can appeal to the ZBA. I think the judge said that, too. Is that right, Tim?
Well,
They have to go to the ZBA next, right?
yeah, the judge kind of gave them, extended the 20-day appeal period to about a year and a half. But, I mean, in the normal course of events, after a judge makes his final decision, either party has the right to appeal. So if the judge rules in our favor, then the Anthonys could appeal his decision to Superior Court. Or likewise, if the Anthonys win the case, we could appeal. All that aside from what happens with the ZBA, which could be another round of going to court and appeals and whatnot, so.
Okay. And there was, I think you saw it, Dee sent it out, there was 2 notices of decision on our decision on ProQuip, which went back to the judge. There was a notice, actually it went back to the parties involved, and I believe the judge was notified as well, so. Those notices of decision have typically gone right from the planning office, because all it is taking what we passed and what the vote was and sending it on and telling them what the decision was. Did everybody see that in the?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, I guess I'll adjourn the meeting at 8:37. Thank you all.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.